Hello everyone, it's Joe here from Draft FPL and welcome back to a weekly series helping you find some good value free agents and waiver pickups in Draft FPL. Game week 18, the festive period is upon us. Games coming thick and fast. Let's get stuck straight into the best picks for this game week. As always, this information is powered by Draft FC. You can see that Moreno here, my first pick, is available in 66% of draft leagues, and that information does come from draftfc.co.uk. You can pick up a free month's trial using the code SNAKEDRAFT. There is a link down in the description, and you can try it completely for free for 1 month. See if you like it. It really does enhance the draft experience, in my opinion. So the first pick, Moreno. The Villa fixtures are absolutely ridiculous coming up. 3 of the next 4 are some of the best fixtures in the game. They've also got United away in that period, which is a pretty good one as well, to be honest. Moreno, I tipped him last week. He did obviously get the start with Dean out injured. Scored a goal. Dean will be back, but I think Moreno will likely keep his place for this Sheffield United at home fixture. He's available in 66% of leagues, and it's, in my opinion, the best possible fixture a team can have. So definitely load up on your Villa boys this week. Burnley at home in 20 is fantastic as well. Everton away in 21 is pretty good. United away in 19 is even pretty good, to be honest, looking at their data recently. So I'm not afraid to play Villa players in that one either. This block of 4 fixtures is definitely a very strong one. If you've already picked up Moreno because you listened to me last week or someone in your league did, then the other player I'd look to for the Villa defence is Diego Carlos. Available in 64% of leagues. They obviously have that great run of fixtures, and he looks pretty certain to start at the moment. He started, I think, the last 5, which is, fairly consistent. I would expect him to start. There obviously is a chance there could be some rotation over this period, but that's the same with pretty much any player in the league. Next up, Dan Burn is back from injury. Available in only 27% of leagues, but I thought I'd just put him in here just in case you've missed it. The latest injury problem for Newcastle was Fabian Schär pulling up with an injury, so Dan Burn could easily fill in at centre-back alongside Lascelles for these 2 great home fixtures. I'm pretty sure he's going to play this Luton game almost certainly, because Luton are a very aggressive set-piece team. They like to put the balls in the box, and Dan Burn is a fantastic aerial presence, so I'm almost certain he's going to play this week, kind of whatever his injury grumbles have been. I know he's only just back. 2 games in a week's not ideal, but I'm pretty sure he's going to start this one. Then Forest at home in 19, hopefully he gets that start as well. If you can get the start out of these 2, Newcastle look decent for a clean sheet in at least one of them, I would say. Really good pickup long term as well off the waivers. Next up, Tosin Adarabioyo, available in 95% of leagues, and I think that Tosin's a really smart choice. I know I tipped Bassi a few weeks ago and he did well in the 2 game weeks I tipped him, but he did lose his place last week against Newcastle, and it's hard to predict the Fulham centre-backs at the moment. They've basically got Tosin, Diop, Ream and Bassi for 2 spots, and Tosin has started each of the last 3, I'm pretty sure. It's been Tosin and Diop last week. I think that Tosin is just the best centre-back of the 4 of them, to be honest. I think he is the most nailed, the most likely to start. I think Tosin Diop makes a lot of sense. I think Tosin Bassi kind of makes sense as well. But I think that Tosin is the one that plays the majority. When you look at these next 2 fixtures, Burnley at home, Bournemouth away, 2 really strong ones to look at. So I definitely think that I'll be picking up a Fulham defender this week. On to midfielders then, and first up we've got Jacob Ramsey, one of my absolute old favourites. I tip him as often as I possibly can. Available in 88% of leagues, and this fixture run from Villa, as I spoke about earlier, is just absolutely phenomenal. Ramsey is the one that's taken advantage of kind of the drop in form of Diaby and the injury problems of Leon Bailey, and he's deputised very well so far, and I expect that to continue. He's not nailed, definitely not nailed. There are a few different players in competition for a couple of spots in this Villa team, but To be honest, the fixtures are so good that even if he only gets half an hour in each of the next 4, I'd still be happy to start him in pretty much all of them, especially Game Week 18, Game Week 20. I'd be happy to start him even if I knew he was only going to get half an hour, because the defences he's coming up against are so weak, and we know he has an eye for goal. He's got that knack of being in the right place at the right time, so definitely someone I'm happy to back. Next up, Alex Iwobi, available in 70% of leagues. I've spoke about Fulham attack quite a lot in recent weeks. It does change things a little bit, having Raul Jimenez out through suspension for that red card he got last game week. Absolutely crazy challenge. Looked to me like he was just trying to get Christmas off with his family. Little 3-game ban over the festive period. Not a bad one for a player to have. But I will say it's tricky to figure out exactly who's going to replace him, because my instinct would have been Vinicius, but Muniz actually got the start, or not got the start, sorry, came on against Newcastle, and Vinicius didn't, so that's quite interesting. I'm not sure if there's an injury at play there, but I don't think there is. Iwobi has been really good lately. He's been kind of a key man in the Fulham attack, and I think his influence on the pitch is actually pretty massive, so I'd be very surprised if he's left out. There is a bit of competition elsewhere, the likes of Harry Wilson, Cordova-Reid, Willian, Andreas Pereira. I think Iwobi's the most secure. Andreas Pereira is probably the next best one, I would say, but he does retreat a little bit and doesn't quite get into the box as much, so probably safer minutes but a little bit less upside, I would say. Iwobi's definitely the one I'll be going for though. Next up, we've got Mykhailo Mudryk, available in 43% of leagues, and the next 4 for Chelsea are absolutely ridiculous. Obviously they started this block of 5 great fixtures last week with Sheffield United at home. Next up, Wolves away, Palace at home, Luton away, Fulham at home. 4 brilliant fixtures to come through, and Mudryk has started each of the last 4 games, which is quite surprising actually, because somehow that kind of slipped past me. I didn't really notice, and I think a lot of people are probably similar, because he's not been amongst the returns that much. But with these fixtures coming up, if he is starting on that left hand side, I do expect surely a couple of returns in this period. Nkunku is back fit, but I think his minutes are going to be managed really carefully, so I'm not too concerned about him taking minutes off Mudryk. Obviously there is a chance that he kind of moves into the position Palmer's been playing. Palmer comes out to the left, or Sterling goes to the left, so there is a lot of kind of moving pieces, but I think that's more of an issue in like a month's time when Nkunku's got some match fitness about him. I think he's going to be eased in very slowly. The kind of injury he's had, it's an injury he's had before as well a couple of years ago, so it's one they've got to be really careful with. Next up, we've got Paqueta, available in 42% of leagues. United at home, Arsenal away, Brighton at home. Doesn't scream you should go out and pick this player, but actually I think United at home and Brighton at home in 18 and 20 are both pretty good fixtures for West Ham. They're both teams I think are probably going to play into West Ham's strengths, especially at home. West Ham are really a counter-attacking side, and United and Brighton are likely to have a bit more of the ball, so West Ham should probably be able to exploit them. They've both got weak defences as well. Man United over the last 6 games have conceded more shots than any team in the Premier League, which absolutely blows my mind when you look at the likes of Sheffield United, Burnley, Luton. You know, these teams have conceded less shots than United, which is absolutely bonkers. I think they're the 17th worst defence in the league based on XG conceded. It's just like, it's a miracle really that they've only conceded the goals that they have. So I am happy to back against them when I need to. Arsenal away is a very tricky fixture. They're a really sound defensive unit, but as I said, Brighton at home is good, and then Sheffield United away after that is a good one as well. Next up, we've got Michael Olise, available in 60% of leagues, and the fixtures for Palace are a little bit like not ideal as well. Brighton at home is okay, Chelsea away is alright, Brentford at home is okay, and Arsenal away is tough. It doesn't scream like go and buy these players, but actually Palace have a really good record against Brighton. A lot of people kind of don't really pay attention to these kind of things, like bogey teams and stuff like that, but these are human players and they know these records. They know, you know, certain players always score against certain teams. That extra bit of confidence, we've seen it time and time again, can make a big difference. You always hear players say, oh, I really like playing so-and-so. And Palace have been a real bogey team for Brighton. And they kind of set up in a way that, like, they lay a trap for Brighton. I expect them to score a couple of goals in this, despite their poor attacking output lately. Brighton can't defend. So Eze looks like he's back fit. He's a good pick as well. So's Elise. I think there's goals in this for Palace. On to forwards, and Chris Wood available in 57% of leagues. Steve Cooper's been sacked by Forest. Quite a little bit of a controversial decision. I actually think Steve Cooper's done an unbelievable job at Forest since he took over. He's kind of reunited the team and the fan base. Brought them to the Premier League, where a lot of the fans thought they'd kind of never really see again. Done really well. I feel kind of bad for him of how it's gone lately, but they're looking to progress to that next level and kind of establish themselves as like a solid Premier League outfit, and they don't think that Steve Cooper's got the capability to do that, which I think is maybe fair enough. So it looks like Nuno's coming in, Nuno Espirito Santo, which is quite an interesting appointment. His kind of stock is about as low as we've ever seen after the Spurs debacle, but I think it's sneaky not a bad appointment. If he can kind of recapture the way that he got his Wolves team to play, I can strongly sniff out a 5 at the back using Wood in a similar way they did Jimenez. And, you know, I think this could be a decent setup for Chris Wood. If they're whipping crosses into the box with wing backs, using Morgan Gibbs-White and Hudson-Odoi or Elanga just off Wood with a couple of solid central midfielders, I can already see the kind of similarities to that impressive Wolves team. So Bournemouth at home this week could be the perfect new manager bounce fixture. They do have a couple of tough ones after that. Newcastle away in 19, and then United at home, Brentford away is like kind of mixed. But I do think for this game week specifically, I expect Wood to start, and I think he's a good pick. Finally, I spoke about Palace being Brighton's bogey team earlier. It looks like Edouard's going to be injured. We don't really have any kind of information on Edouard. All we knew before the deadline was that he's injured and it's a knee injury. There was no kind of, it's maybe just a knock, it's a dead leg, or it's ligaments, or he's dislocated it. There was absolutely nothing, which is really frustrating. So I have no idea if Edouard's going to be back. Hopefully we'll get something in the press conference this week, but I think the press conference is probably on Friday, which is after the deadline, which is not helpful. I'm going to assume with knee injuries it's normally more than 1 week, so I'm expecting Mateta to get the start again, and if so, as I said earlier, I expect Palace to score a couple of goals in this game against Brighton. So Mateta looks like a good pick for me. Okay everyone, that wraps up my picks for Game Week 18. As I said at the start, check out draftfc.co.uk, use code SNAKEDRAFT for a free month's trial. You can try it out. If you don't like it, just cancel. If you do like it, carry on, and definitely use it to your advantage, because it's definitely a good tool to use. Check out the Patreon if you want more information and analysis from me. Thank you all for watching. Like the video if you haven't done so already, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.